Hi, it's Wayne O'Keefe. Tide's going out. It is overcast. That's very good. Tide going out, not so good. The water's going down fairly quickly, and because there's been quite a bit of rain, you've got the water moving fast. You've got the outgoing tide drawing water out, and you've got the flow of the river towards the ocean, it going out. So that doubles up the speed. There's a bit of weed in there, which is pretty bad. But what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to cast out too far. I'm going to cast out probably about about a quarter of the way across. Keep it in fairly short, trying to keep away from that weed if I can, and bring the fish in. The further out I cast, the more line in the water, the more chance of getting more weed. And then of course you lose all touch, your line goes off, weed covers your bait, you don't get fish. So I'll keep in fairly close and see if I can actually draw the fish in using burley, of course, to get them. The rig that I'm using today is actually a paternoster rig. I'm using small hook size 14 with a bit of spicy chicken on it, through to one of my burley cages, which is a 40 gram. And sorry, no, that's not. That's a 60 gram because the water's flowing so fast. I've got really fine line on, probably only about 2.5 kilos, and but a standard paternoster rig. I use that so that I can have the burley cage on the bottom and a bit of the snood, the dropper here above that. If I keep the line taut, that'll keep this off the bottom, hopefully off some of the weed and some of the other things there. You know, every now and again I try to do something a bit different, and what I've done is I've actually made this rod myself by connecting the sections of different materials in different rods. So the bottom section is quite strong graphite. I'm getting bites on this. I'm getting bites on this at the moment, so I'll just see if I can catch this. And the top section is a combination of graphite and fiberglass, and so it's a lot more flexible. I'm trying to find out whether it's a good bite indicator or not. At the moment it is working very well, as in it indicates bites very well because it's quite floppy. The trouble is that when I try to strike, it's got too much flex in it, and that means that it is not actually hooking the fish properly. Whereas when I use a pure graphite rod, you've got the ability. So did I get this? Anyway, we'll just see if it actually worked this time. I don't know, it doesn't feel like I've got anything, so I'm wrong. I did. I'll show you. Okay. Oh, whoops. So, mullet. Okay. But I just feel that I'm not getting that hook in because I've got too much flex at the top of the rod. It's not pulling up enough line to pull the hook hard into the mouth of the fish. But every now and again it's good to experiment with different things, just to see if you can you find something that really works. And this I don't think has. It's a bit of fun to play around with. So just to show you what it is. Okay, so I wanted to make it really super light, so I've got a very small reel on there. This is about a 1500 model, or 1000 model, actually even smaller. Standard cork handle, tight, hard graphite, up to a join, and at the second half of the rod is got a lot more fiberglass in it, through to a quivertip, which is very, very flexible. That combination probably didn't work that well for making connection, but it's a bit of fun. I tell you what, it is winter, but my goodness, it is a beautiful late afternoon. It is, because it's overcast, it is fairly cool, but there's no breeze at all, so it really is pleasant. And the fish are biting quite well into the outgoing tide, but I guess here there's always mullet around, so you always get some activity with those. What I have found is there's a lot of fishermen here who are casting out a long way out with fairly heavy line, and I must admit they're not getting the activity I am, just simply because I think the tactics are too heavy, and also they're probably casting out too far. They are getting caught up in the weeds, so a lot of the time they cast out and the bait, hook, everything gets covered in weed, so they're not getting a chance to hook those fish. Also, if you've got very large hooks with fish like this, they'll just pick the bait off. So you've got to work out what's in the water and then use tackle accordingly. And if you've seen my videos before, I start small anyway, and I'll change up if it looks like there's bigger fish around, or if I want to try and target them. But if I go that way, I have to realise that I can lose a lot of bait. So let's have another shot. Okay, I'll cast in, just let it sink. I reckon it's probably about 2.5 meters or so deep. Tide's going out pretty fast, so the water's moving pretty fast. So just getting, the bites are coming pretty quick, but this rod is not making the connections. Well, although I think I got that one as well. Let's just see. Yeah, made that one as well. My bite hard burley is really working. My spicy chicken is really working. It's probably, I'm the failure on the end of this rod because I'm not striking through all of that well because it's too floppy. I think I'm going to go back to maybe trying my bass reds because they've got a bit more touch and feel and a bit more connection to that hook. The one thing about this rod here, it's quite tall. It's probably about 2.2 meters long, but you can see how actively it does tell you that things are happening with that quiver tip. But I can't always connect. Although, having said that, I think I have again. So I wasn't doing so well until I started filming. Maybe I should film more often. But I'll be another mullet. There you go. Okay, so look, sometimes it's a bit of fun to experiment with something different. And when I said I made it, all I did is if you keep your rods, I've got to stack them, and you break some, occasionally you can actually fit them together so it makes up something interesting. I think this would be pretty good for trout too, so I might actually try for that just because I like the quiver tip and it being a little bit shorter. But if I really want to make sure that I'm hooking properly, pure graphite is the way to go. I'm getting a lot of bites, and I guess with the setup that I've got, I'm relying on the quiver tip to tell me what's going on rather than the feel which you get from a graphite rod. So if you use fiberglass rods, they're pretty much bulletproof. They don't break that easily, but the flex in them means it's harder to actually hook those fish. But then of course the fiberglass acts as a shock absorber, so it will move up and down, it will sort of bend heavily and stuff, so you don't break them like you can with a graphite rod. So there's pros and cons, but if you want real feel, then the graphite is the way to go. And if you're experimenting like I am with this, okay, I think I've got the worst of both worlds rather than the best. Okay, she's out, and it doesn't take that long for the bites to come through, since the burley's really sort of doing its thing, which is the important thing. And just a little bit of rain coming through now. Great. So, actually, looks like there's more coming. I might have to pack up. Anyway, it's been a great session. And if you've enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're interested in some of the techniques I'm talking about here, the burley gear, things like that, go to my website, howtofish.com.au.